Hey guys, it's Nichole Eaton with the Rock Your Soul book and podcast, where we talk about how to hack your mindset, grow your intuition, and live your best life. Welcome back to the Rock Your Soul book and podcast. I'm Nichole Eaton, soul therapist and author of the book Rock Your Soul, the down-to-earth guide to mastering your mind. I'm so excited today. I have a newer friend to me, Carianna. She is a coach and meditation guide, and I love her energy, and I know you guys will too. So welcome, Carianna.
Thank you so much, Nichole.
I'm so excited to have you. So tell everyone a little bit about what you do. How did you even get into this work?
Great question. And I love how you mentioned that we were newer friends, because I was just thinking about how we even got connected was kind of divine. But that's the work that I do. I'm a coach and meditation guide. I have always loved storytelling. I used to work in Hollywood. I spent some time working in movie production, and then I spent a couple of years working for the NFL. So I was really into editing, directing, writing stories, listening to stories, and putting it all together in a curated way. I just sort of kept finding that my heart was in yoga, and every time I would go to yoga class, I would have an experience of like, there's something greater out there for me than just this career and climbing the ladder. Not that it wasn't my dream career. I feel like I sort of lived that life to its fullest and did exactly what I wanted to do. And then I was ready to kind of become my own leader and talk to just everyday humans and kind of discover the stories that we're telling ourselves, because we're making everything up all the time. And it just was so fascinating to me, the amount of people that were unsatisfied with their lives. So I just felt like there was a way I could support a greater cause outside of just the A-listers, and they're amazing. But that's what essentially kind of led me to quit the job. I was teaching yoga and fitness and in sort of like the health and mindfulness world. And the more time I spent there, the more the path just kind of unfolded for me. I found out about coaching and have really sort of landed as like a mindfulness coach and a meditation guide, which I really believe the dots line up in hindsight. So looking back, it's like perfect that I grew up in New Hampshire, because I spent so much time alone and just with my brother and nature, and it was great. Like, I learned how to be really quiet and still and use my imagination to create. And I think that that's a big piece of what I want to provide as a service, is plugging back into our internal power source and then designing our authentic life from there, turning down the outer noise, turning up the volume on us. So
I love that. And you said something that I wrote down while you were talking, and I think this is such a common theme, especially people who are kind of in this external world and they're busy. They start to feel like, man, there's something more out there for me or something greater. What would you tell people who are feeling like on the edge of that, just that feeling like, man, I'm doing great work. It's not that I'm not, okay with my work, but man, it feels like I'm being called somewhere else. Like, what advice or tips would you have for somebody who's in that position?
Great question. I don't feel like it's right for everyone per se, but I do think that if what I like to use as a barometer in that arena is like, I just kept asking myself, do I want to be my boss? Like, do I want that job? And then it kept being a no for me. And I was like, what do I want? So kind of using that contrast to shine the light on what would be possible if you just went out on your own. You may not know the answer, but like following the impulses of what feels good and what feels, I know authentic is kind of an overused word, but like what feels or would express your passions or your purpose. And if that doesn't resonate and you haven't gotten that far yet, like, no worries. I think the more you can explore that path while you're in a safe space is great, but like knowing that you can jump and still create a safe space for yourself to live within your own body is, to me, like the definition of freedom and fulfillment. So I've always been a risk taker, like I'm a Leo. I like to go. If something's
Yes.
on my heart, like after college, I don't know. I lived in New York City during college and I was like, LA is calling me. I don't know why. I just put everything in suitcases, like shipped it out there. I didn't know anyone. I had 2 interviews and I was like, oh, for sure, I'm going to get one of these jobs. And I did. But like, I know a lot of people that would be out of their comfort zone. Um, and so it's funny because like when I look at myself, I honestly don't really feel like I trust myself as much as I could. But when I look at certain places where I've taken the risk, I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely trusted myself. And that's something I think we could all use support with, is really learning to trust and follow. Because I'm sure there were plenty of places where I took the wrong turn, but I still ended up exactly where I feel like I meant to.
I think it's so tricky because sometimes it does feel like we're taking a wrong turn or we're unsure if the choice we made is going to pan out. And I think at the end of the day that even if, I always, when I'm working with people, I always explain it as like a staircase, that even if that's not your final destination, it's still a stepping stone to meet the person, to hear the
Mm,
words, to be inspired in the way, or to have the experience to get you to the next space. So when you're listening to yourself, as long as you're coming inward, and I love that you said that earlier, as long as you're coming inward, you're never really off path, even if you're not loving what's in front of you.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because usually we start to feel like we're off path or we made the wrong choice when we were really attached, I think, to it going a certain way. So it's kind of like finding that balance of following the flow and being like open to how it manifests, but staying really committed to what you want. Even just going from like, I quit my job and I thought I was going to be a full-time yoga teacher, and I kind of got into the flow of that, and it wasn't exactly right, but it continued to show me sort of what other opportunities would be more aligned for me. And yes, there were some like growing pains involved there too. Of just realizing like I can't say I don't need money and I'm just going to be a yoga teacher and just give away all my time and energy and it'll be great because I'm being a good person. And like there's still responsibility involved, that I think I was a little blind to at first. But again, growing experiences. I like your stair metaphor.
Yeah, actually, I was reading through your Instagram. You made a post over the weekend, and I think it was over the weekend, and you were talking about kind of looking when you're making a change, looking at not what it cost you, but
Mm,
just trying to look at what you're looking forward to, what are possibilities that you can, reach for. And I just loved the idea of, I think when we start to or want to make a change, it can be paralyzing because we're
mm,
looking at what it's going to cost. Could you speak a little bit more about that or your personal experiences with that?
absolutely. Thanks for picking up on that, because I do think that that's something that really speaks to me right now in my coaching. I'm seeing it a lot in my clients, which means it's likely showing up in my life as well too.
That's how it goes, huh?
It's how it goes. Everyone's a mirror. So yeah, what I really was hearing a lot lately and experiencing is just this: we have a tendency as humans to be afraid of what we're going to lose. So like when people are signing up for coaching or they want to start a relationship with a partner, it's like we're so much more attuned to like, oh gosh, I'm going to lose this amount of money and that's what it's going to cost me to do coaching. Like I can't do that. Or if I go date this person, like I may lose and get heartbroken, and like we are so guarded against the idea of losing, which isn't to say that maybe there's not some reality to it. Like it costs money to exchange services, or it takes risk and love to get love. But what I really love thinking about in coaching is like, well, our intention and attention, and it breeds just of our experience of life. So if we're focusing on what we're worried about or what we're scared of losing, we might actually manifest that. Like we're going to at least manifest the worry and the feeling uncomfortable if we could shift it to be like, well, here's what I'm paying and here's what I'm going to get out of it. Like double my salary, buy a home, lose weight, like travel the world. If we focus on what the expansive opportunity is, to me, that already feels better. Just even saying it out loud, it's like I'm less hunched over. I'm more open-hearted, this is what I can do. And maybe it's scary, but the going out on the journey of creating it can be much more enjoyable when we're just continuously checking in. Am I focusing on the past or the what could go wrong, or am I focusing on my leadership and my choice in each moment?
It's always wild to me that our bodies just inherently respond to our thoughts. And unless you're really paying attention, you don't always notice that your body's responding. But I love that you were like, even just saying, talking about expansive opportunities, I can feel my body straighten. I can feel my heart open. I can feel my shoulders go back. And as we're thinking through the day, our bodies are naturally responding to everything we're telling us. So we can actually listen to our own truths by how open we're feeling or how straighter, much straighter we're sitting
Mm-hmm.
up. I think that's the coolest thing.
It is super cool. And in like as a coach, I'm kind of trained to listen and watch and observe who I'm working with through that lens. Like, what's the tone of their voice? Are they speaking quietly? Are they hunched over? Are they looking down? Like our body language and just the cues that are in our energy is palpable. And I think sometimes it's helpful to have that pointed out. It can be confronting, but to realize like, hey, here's how I'm showing up in the world. Like, and I could actually transform that is to me an amazing and exciting possibility. I think it takes some practice to really tune in to be able to listen to yourself, because even when I teach meditation, sometimes I go to take a deep breath and I'm like, oh man, that's the deepest breath I've taken all day and it's 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's crazy how disconnected and disembodied we can get throughout the days when we're just in autopilot and our routines and all of the demands that we have. I mean, you have kids. Like I don't have kids, but I can't imagine tenfold
Yeah.
experience of that.
I think
So,
that busy lives, including children, but just busy lives in general, require so much more intentional inward time. So it's
mm-hmm,
not just that it happens throughout the day, it's that you're intentionally finding space and time, even if it's 10 minutes, to encourage it to happen throughout the day, because then it's easier to recognize. But like you were saying, it takes practice to do all of these things. As easy as it sounds to just breathe, it takes practice to
mm-hmm.
remind yourself to take that deep breath, and it takes practice to have that be normal. But once you do, it's so much easier to return to. And I think that's my favorite thing about just spirituality, and including meditation and even yoga, is just once you start the process, it's so much easier to return to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it becomes much more rewarding. I think at first, like some of the stuff that we're working through, I mean, collectively is just like the shame and the guilt of all the past. Even if we've had great lives, like there's still things that we're holding on to. So I experience a lot of it at first, feeling like discomfort and resistance. And then once you kind of get into the flow and you can see like what being conscious or what being mindful can really bring you in a positive way, again, shifting your focus from to what you can gain, it becomes much quicker and like effective and habitual because we get that reward and there's momentum there.
What are some of your like favorite, I swear by this, practices for creating a more like conscious life? What are things that's totally changed your life?
Having mornings routines. I mean, I'm a big ritual person, so 90-minute mornings is something that I started last year, and I still continue it. The first 90 minutes are just for me and my family. So I usually start my day without the phone for those 90 minutes, unless I'm meditating to some sort of app or recording. Then I'll listen to that. But no texting, no emails until after that. I like to be out in nature. That's a huge thing for me. Again, like where I grew up and just what's important to me, being outside, taking a nice long walk with my dog. Making coffee is so fun for me. I like to get it too from the store, but the mindful art of just how it French press, and like I love design and aesthetics. So thinking about how I'm going to even what outfit I'm going to wear is fun for me to do in the morning, just sort of like curating how I want to express myself that day, even if it is sweatpants. I get a lot
Yes.
of joy out of being like, today is Sunday. Today is my football outfit, baseball cap, like here's what it's going to be. So just, I don't know. I like little rituals like that in the morning. Those are my have tos: meditate, listen to some sort of podcast or lecture. I really enjoy reading at night or in the afternoon. Dr. Joe Dispenza. I love any sort of self-discovery book. I mean, I could go on and on with recommendations. I know a lot of people read Untamed this year. I think I read that in 2 days.
Same. So good.
5-minute journal was great for me. I do a practice right now that's similar, just making sure gratitude is a part of my day. I'm naturally more of an independent and introverted person, so it took me a while to warm up to the idea that like I have the energy to be extroverted.
I think that's perfect because I think that a lot of people who are extroverts don't spend as much time internally, and a lot of people who are introverts don't spend as much time making the connections. And I think that our souls really need some level of balance with the two, of knowing when to come in and knowing when to pull out and connect. So I think it's important to be able to listen to and find the balance and flow within yourself, to know when to connect and to know when to dive back into yourself and dive back into your rituals and find the balance within you.
Yeah, I think the seasons are a really good guide for that. I don't know if seasons are like the moon. I'm not 100% an expert, but I've always gravitated towards teaching and practicing in alignment with some of those cycles. And I notice right now, like as I go from summer to fall, I think, fall starts tomorrow officially. My energy is like, it always just naturally shifts from the high intensity, go, fiery energy of summer to like, I want to slow down and do all my rituals and spend more time, just me alone time. And there's more space for it, that just naturally, because I'm wanting to create it.
I love that. One of the things that you mentioned early on is the stories we're telling ourselves. Can you dive a little deeper into that? What do these stories look like and how do we recognize them?
Yeah, I think one of the most mind-blowing things and simple things that I love about when I was just becoming a coach and learning more about mindfulness is we're literally making everything up. Every thought is totally made up. And what we can do is choose whether or not we empower our thoughts or if we're empowered by them in the stories we're telling. So I just think about, I mean, when we're telling ourselves in the morning, like, what are the stories we're saying to ourselves? I suck, like I have to go to work. Oh, this sucks. Or is it like, it's going to be a great day. I'm grateful for this. And here's the reasons why. And we bounce back and forth. There's no perfect, like, I'm only going to tell positive, empowering stories. Sometimes the stories that are the most honest and truthful and empowering are uncomfortable and real, and raw. But I think just knowing that we have the power to choose what the content we're putting in our brains and stories. And also, that's what to me is so empowering about coaching, is where we have so many blind spots. I mean, I think you asked, how do we know, or how do we know? I think again comes back to, how does it feel? Like, what's your experience like being you in a day? Which takes the slowing down and takes the looking inwards. If you don't feel great, if you feel stuck, or if you're having a hard time, there's probably something to look at just with what you're putting in your own way, in the form of thoughts and the language you're using, because our language and stories do create our reality. So I'm not saying like we should be painting a perfect picture in this story where princesses and princes and fairylands, that's it. But it's more a matter of like, are we telling ourselves the truth? And if we're not, like, what do we need in order to be able to go there?
I think that truth telling is the most powerful practice,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that there's the there's the energy of feeling like we need to perform for people, especially with social media. I don't know if you've seen Social Dilemma, but I watched that last night, so that's like right on the tip of my head.
Ooh, I haven't.
Oh, it's so interesting, and it's a big conversation. But one of the things I absolutely love that you said is allowing yourself to sit in discomfort,
Mm.
because I think there's so much good vibes only. There's a lot of bypassing and
Mm-hmm.
spiritual bypassing that happens in the coaching world. And I think what people feel like is they're failing at life if they're not, if they're uncomfortable, or if
Mm-hmm.
they're feeling discouraged, if they're feeling stuck. Like, people are tying that with like a personal failure or a shame. And I think that that is part of, like, par for the course. That is part of change and growth, is the discomfort. So I'm so glad you said that, because most people, I always say, it's not about not ever ending up there. It's
Mm-hmm.
about not staying there long term.
Yeah. Yeah. That's brilliant. I think, I mean, one of the biggest things right now that I'm telling the people I'm working with is like, consider that sitting in your discomfort is the best thing for your well-being. And it's kind of a brain twister, because we're like, well, that feels gross, and like, I don't want to be, acknowledging this. But the more we avoid it, the more it's going to persist and potentially come out sideways and sabotage things. So yeah, there's lessons and there's healing and there's growth that comes from being with the discomfort. And it's natural to want to avoid it, because we're like, ding, 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 must be doing something wrong. Like, must be a horrible person because I'm afraid of these things, or I have this, I don't know, money problem, which is a huge one for people. Um,
Yeah.
and it's really like, how can we dial it back to getting the facts? I think that's a huge breakthrough for a lot of people, is getting out of the muck of like all the interpretations, like you were saying, that we put on top of just like what the experience is. Hey, the experience is like, I need X amount of dollars to do this X thing, and I don't know where to get it. That we can work with. When it's like, I hate myself, there's no possibility, I'm stuck here. There's still something to work with there too, but it's a lot more self limiting. And the opportunity I really want for people is to be able to acknowledge how they feel, and still be able to reach for the facts, and still be able to reach for the truth.
I think, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, and I believe I read this at like from Brene Brown possibly, but she was saying like, shame is released when you speak it out loud. So finding somebody safe, finding somebody comfortable, but when you're in that place of discomfort and you're sitting
Mm.
there, I think one of the most powerful things is to find that truth that you were just
Mm-hmm.
talking about, and share it with somebody who's supportive, somebody who's not necessarily been trying to solve your problem, but just to listen. What
Mm-hmm.
are your thoughts on that? Like, how do we conquer this discomfort in a healthy way?
Great question. I think the discomfort, we have to first acknowledge it, and then thank it. It's like, thank you for being here, and then we can work with it. Um, I always like the idea of thinking about, what part of me is this trying to protect? So the discomfort, the resistance, the sabotage, it's thank you, because you're trying to protect me, and I'm okay. Working through it kind of with that. I think this is a big reason why reparenting and inner child work is so popular right now, because as a collective, we're being called to break free from kind of the codependent cycles that have been perpetuated in society for a long, 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 long time. So befriending the discomfort first, like recognizing, acknowledging, and then if you have the space to say, like, what part of me is this trying to protect? It might be the young version of you who didn't get her needs met as a child, or was stepped over in class or something, when you can really think about it as like a protective thing that you picked up a while ago. Sweet little child, like innocent person, couldn't have known better. I think that gives me a lot more space for compassion, and that's what works best for me. And I really recommend compassion practices like that. Tara Brach has a lot of podcasts on this too. She calls it the RAIN method, which is recognize, acknowledge, investigate, and then nurture. And I just think the nurturing piece and the self-nurturing piece is something we could all benefit from leaning into, because I don't know about you, but there was a phase for me where I was just like angry that I didn't get nurtured in the way I wanted to. And that sort of was it. I'm just like, whatever, instead of being
Yeah.
like, all right, now it's my turn to actually do it for myself. When we can flip that and really take responsibility to get our needs met by ourselves and with support, yes. But like, how much of this can I just be kind to myself and make myself feel better, and allow that is huge.
I absolutely love all of that. One of the biggest things I think can be most healing, I know for me, is meeting myself with compassion, because I think there's this way we stack negative emotions against one another. So now I'm angry, and now I'm upset at myself because I'm feeling
Mm-hmm.
angry, and now I feel guilty for being upset because I'm angry. And we kind of have this way of like not just allowing that one emotion to sit there, to
Yeah.
be uncomfortable and to diffuse, but to continue to create more stories
Mm-hmm.
around what it means and why it's there and what it says about us. And I love just one of my favorite practices is just putting my hand over my heart and just saying, okay, what do you need? And sometimes I'll just say, I'm sorry it was a rough day today. I'm sorry you had such a rough, challenging day. Or I'm sorry if we're talking about like reparenting. Like, I'm sorry that things, you weren't loved in the way you thought and you felt you needed to be. And how do we want to show ourselves love today? Like, I love compassion practices, because I think, especially people who are high achievers and who are very emotionally intelligent, usually kind of have the ability to uh, expect more out of their emotions. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Yeah.
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 So I think meeting yourself with compassion, I love that rain technique you were just talking about. That's so important.
As is talking to people, which I think was your original question. Like, I sometimes we can't see where we're doing this to ourselves. So if it's a best friend, a therapist, a coach, a spiritual guide, just having an outside source to normalize it for you, and for me, like, was really transformative, because it breaks up that story that we have of like there's something broken or wrong with just me. The more that you allow for connection, I think, while you're going through any journey of transformation, it just adds more love and speed to the process in my eyes, because you really find that you're not alone over and over again, to the point where you're like, oh, I'm human and this is normal.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the to share it really creates a cool human connection. I guess it's probably what intimacy is, if I looked up the definition.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
is sharing that. And of course, there's it doesn't always necessarily go perfectly. Like, I think sometimes we think if we share this thing, then we're going to get the response we want, and there's still a bit more, especially if it's like with a partner or a friend. How could we see it all the way through to be like, this is what I'm ashamed of, and this is what I'd love from you in this experience if we're not getting it.
Yeah. I love the language you use. This is what, I need at this moment. And I think that's so underestimated within relationships, especially because we can get so protective in relationships that we stop using language that's reminding the other person of what it is that we are needing. Because I think there is a point in time, especially when you've been with somebody for a bit, where you kind of expect them to just jump in and know.
Mm-hmm.
And that coming back to the basics, I think coming back to the basics is the most healing thing you can do in any scenario, whether it's just breathing, whether it's just drinking more water, whether it's just making sure you're sleeping, or whether it's just breaking down that communication to the most simplest form. I think all of that basic stuff when we're talking about
Mm,
healing and feeling better is something we easily forget makes it all smoother, you know?
yeah. Yeah, returning just to the natural flow of like simple human nature. It is funny to think about how often we're getting prescribed, I use that word lightly, but just like that advice of go to sleep, drink more water, rest more, do more self-care things. And I just wonder how many of us are actually like doing it to the fullest because it's why is it so challenging? Why is it so challenging to take care of
Yeah.
ourselves, you know? Um, and again, like we talked about earlier, it is sort of cycles. What maybe it's easier to sleep longer and more in the winter and like it is for me when it's dark out. I'm like, I'd rather go to bed. Like,
Yeah,
I don't,
absolutely.
um, but I have heard something recently that was like, if you want to, don't know what to do to feel better, just like get more sleep at night and see how that helps. Because when we wake up first thing in the morning, we're closer to spirit or we're closer to our highest self, whatever that word is for you, before we let all the outside forces interfere. So I look forward to the mornings a lot. I think that they're just great me time, great space to set intentions for the day, to make plans, so that we can actually flow throughout the day because we have some structure. And that's one thing I'm practicing right now in this season.
Yeah, I love my morning routine. I know for me it's like I have to do it. And I know for a lot of people who are at work early or have children who wake up at the crack of dawn and kind of have that demand initially, it is so important to find and create time. If you don't have that, even if you can get down 10 minutes where you're
Mm-hmm.
quiet or waking up a few minutes earlier, having coffee by yourself or sitting and reading, any of those little tiny things, if you can squeeze it in, is a good start. Because I think we've created this idea that healing is this big, long, drawn out, daunting thing, and I think
Yeah.
the idea of healing is almost intimidating. Like it's got to be a certain way or a certain amount of work or a certain length.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I do think there's a lot of emphasis on healing right now, which I get a little curious about because there is part of healing and like looking at the past that can then become our comfort zone, right? Because we're like so just heady about it and we can get over analytical of like, this is why or why. Um, and some of the, like, I love that journey. I think part of what really propelled me forward was starting to shift focus away from the why questions and like the past to healing being like what happens when you go for the future goal or you go for your highest self and move stuff out of the way. So more of like a present and future journey, less about like, what if there really is nothing to overcome? What if we're already whole and complete right now? Like that kind of
Yeah.
mindset is where I'm
Yes.
coming from with a lot of my clients. And if there is more of a need to dive into the past, like I would refer to a therapist. But the power, like again, the internal power source is one of my favorite just ideas, and how powerful our bodies are as our home base and our minds are as our home base. Like how can we just trust that we're exactly where we're meant to be, everything's working out for me, and if it's not, like how can I address that in a forward and like present based thinking pattern, um, and healing more as like what can I shed for limiting beliefs, those stories that are maybe saying you can't or you're too quiet or you're not pretty enough or whatever they are, limiting beliefs. I try to define that sometimes because I think again jargony like buzzword, but what are the thoughts that you're putting in your space that make you feel constricted or small or just bad?
Yeah, limiting beliefs. I think the biggest thing that limiting beliefs does for people is reduces their idea that something else is possible.
Great definition.
Yeah. So I think when you can start to recognize at least and write down just, man, this is popping up for me throughout the day today. This is something that's really making it so I'm not pushing further in my friendship circles or with my relationship or in my career, because I don't feel like it's possible for me. So
Mm-hmm.
I think if we're talking about stories we're telling ourselves, what do you feel like is the best way to start rewriting these stories? Obviously, good morning routine, but what else if we've got somebody who's really stuck in just saying, I don't feel like, I know I had a good conversation with one of my friends over the weekend. She's had a lot of relationships that have not worked out and just feels
Mm-hmm.
like there's nobody out there for her. How do we help someone like, who's in a position where they just feel like they've exhausted all the options and there's just nothing
Mm,
else that's going to work? How do we help, in
that's a
that
great,
way?
yeah, that's a good example. Um, I think that for me, I would look at how willing is this person to let go of how it's gone in the past. Again, when we were talking about like that being the comfort zone, it's like so easy to be like, well, I know it's not going to work out because it hasn't yet. So that's a limiting belief, basing what's possible in the future based on what's happened so far or happened in the past. Like identifying that as I'm not doing anything wrong. I just have this limiting belief. And yeah, I like to investigate what's safe. Like, what's safe? Why do we keep believing this story if it's really not a good story? There's a reason we do, or else we wouldn't. So, what's the payoff to believing that it's never going to work out? Maybe we don't have to try the uncomfortable thing, or maybe we don't have to date more and exert more energy. But getting really clear on what the cost is of keeping the story and what would you have to shift in order to believe something different. Maybe it just starts with like finding, I know Lacey Phillips calls it expanders, but like finding somebody who has a story, like they met their special person in their living room because they came over and were at this dinner party. A story that makes you feel like it's possible, I think, is a great way to start. For some people that can be triggering, but I would say lean in even more if it is triggering competition or some sort of self-judgment. New insight and new action is what's going to create a new result. So you can have all the awareness in the world of like why it will or why it won't or why it can, but what are you actually going to do differently? That's where I think a lot of people get stopped. And where I benefit from having support and someone to hold me accountable, because once we realize like, oh, it actually is possible and like maybe I'm going to have to do something about it, then it's a matter of like brainstorming what are 10 things I could do, or what are 10 places people meet people, who else could I brainstorm with? Any new action, new dating app. I know people are really opposed to that right now. A lot of my clients
Yeah.
are like, please don't make me do this. I'm like, I'm not. You can do whatever you want. Just, is it different? Have you tried it? Is it the same thing? And you do the same thing, but with just a different attitude. That could be new action. Um, but that's the only way that we get a new result, is new insight plus new action.
That is so powerful. It was actually, we were talking earlier about Dr. Joe Dispenza, but one of the things that he talks about, and actually one of the things I talk about in Rock Your Soul, the book, is that your brain is pretty much a computer program, and it's going to naturally repeat the same stories. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to naturally repeat the same things, and that means your brain is looking for those things. That is how our brain is, as a computer system, works, so that when we have the new insight come in and we begin to take one new action, we're basically reprogramming. And it can be a subtle way. It doesn't have to be a big, major, massive uprooting, but any sudden new insight or new book that you can read that poses a new idea or an example of somebody who's succeeded. I mean, you're just basically taking the computer program and you're putting new formulas in to help it look for different things in your external environment. And I think that is absolutely the most powerful way to rewrite anything that's going on in your life. Any
Yeah.
you're feeling stuck, any limiting belief. That's massive.
Wow. Yeah. I love that metaphor too about the programming. It's so great to think about it that way. It's one possibility lives out there. And two, I think a theme that I keep hearing in the conversation is like small action matters, or maybe it's not such a big journey that we have to go on to heal, right? Like just this one small change can make a huge difference. Or one new book or one new effort can make a huge difference. And the reason probably why it doesn't for a lot of us is because we're too busy looking for the big home run or the big result and just not willing to give ourselves credit for the small wins daily. So I would add that to this too, is like, how can you acknowledge what you're already doing, what you are creating every day, even if it's microscopic or just on a smaller scale than you would want it to happen.
Yeah.
Like thinking about planting the seed. I love thinking about, for some reason, corn is such a good visual for me, but it's like we plant the corn seed. We don't eat the corn in the same day. Like it grows from a sprout to a plant to fruit. And the journey is just as valuable as the destination.
Yeah, and I think that is hard because a lot of times we do want the change to happen because the process of change is intimidating at times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I really feel like I love that. You're absolutely right that the small shift can create a whole momentum of new energy in your life, and that opens doors. And I think the biggest door to open is your mentality and your mindset. So when you start to suggest new things, meet yourself with new examples, you create such an opportunity to shift everything internally, which will shift everything externally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, this is good conversation.
I know.
I
I
hope
love this
everyone's got a
stuff.
pen and paper. As we wrap up, are there any final thoughts or anything that you would like to just touch on or share, or anything that's on your heart or has rose throughout this conversation?
Yeah, I think again, like whatever you're doing, the work, and I'm air quoting right now if you can't see me, which you can't, but like any of the work that you're taking on, which can be physical exercise, it can be inner transformation, it can be both, it can be in your career, your calling, any of the work that you are doing, it's it's not a punishment, or like it's not because we're doing something innately wrong. This has been the biggest lesson for me in my life, is to get out of the belief, to rework my mindset in a way that it's like, no, I'm not doing these things to fix the past or to fix myself. I'm doing this because I want to manifest or express myself to the highest level in this life that I have right now. So please, like, if you are thinking about doing something for yourself to support your mindset, like just even approaching it, if I could give myself a gift, and you, as whoever's listening, a gift, is to think about approaching it from a place of want and desire because you deserve it, rather than punishment and shame. Because we're all imperfect creatures. And how loving and compassionate we are about whatever we do is just, I can't express how much of a difference it makes on a day-to-day basis.
I love it. That's so important. And I think you referenced earlier of just, not feeling like because you're in an uncomfortable place that you're broken, and not feeling like you have to do this work because you're broken, but you're doing it
Yeah.
because you love and care about yourself, and doing the same work with a different intention can have all the change in the world. So even if it's just, I'm doing this work because I love myself rather than I'm doing this work because something's wrong with me, that is a whole separate intention for the work. It's going to feel differently. It's going to, I think, in my opinion, be more effective.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
important. I love that you brought that up.
Same.
Now, how can people find you? Where can they hook up with you? Where can they get some coaching from you?
So right now, I think the best two ways would be either social media on Instagram at Carianna Lynn, or my website, www.cariannalynn.co. And I will be offering bi-monthly meditations. So every new moon and every full moon, I'll be doing meditations, and that usually will be found on my Instagram. So please stay tuned for those offerings. The next one is October 1st for a full moon. And those have been really great just to, if you're curious about what self-care, self-discovery, reflection, pause, all of that could be like for you. It's a really fun time. We have an hour long together, and it's usually a couple of people in person. You can listen to the recording, and we just meditate, set some intentions, breathe, and rest, and then reflect. So to me, that's such a treat. And I will be offering more meditation and mindfulness tools as it evolves. And then for my website, if you're interested in coaching, there's an application there, just some questions to start to get thinking about how coaching would fit on your life, what you would map it onto. And I think that's a great place to start too, just so you know, it's hard to know what you're going to get out of it until you commit and start to say, like, this is what I want, because it's really self-led. But the questionnaire, the application can be really beneficial, or you can feel free to just email me, call me, DM, any of the things to get a free session, and we can actually like explore trying it on.
Yes, and I can personally attest that your full moon meditations and your new moon meditations are so, so powerful, and that people are not going to want to miss those. So make
Oh,
sure you
thanks.
go over to Carianna's Instagram page. It will be in the link in the description of this podcast. And we are so, so grateful that you spent time with us today, Carianna. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful to be here, and I feel like my soul is expanded in this conversation. So thanks for hosting it.
Thank you so much for listening to the Rock Your Soul book and podcast. Take a moment to book a one-on-one personalized soul therapy session with me, or catch a live event by visiting www.nicholeeaton.com, or follow me on Instagram at nicholeeaton.xo. Thank you.
So I was thinking, like, in college when you do power hour, maybe nobody's ever done that because they're not that stupid, but in college you do something called power hour, and you take a shot and then you get very intoxicated. And we're not going to do that. So I'm sorry to disappoint anybody who thought we were here to do power hour. But I was thinking, how do we fill y'all up in an hour? How do we get all of this good content, all of the facets of the things that make you feel powerful in one shot? Like, how do we just kind of hammer this out so by the end of this hour, you are feeling 150%. You are feeling like your best self. You are feeling energized and ready to take on the rest of 2020. So that's my goal for you guys. My intention is always that you leave with whatever you came for, with whatever. But yeah, I want you guys to set some intentions for yourself. What do you want to get out of this? What is important to you? Your intentions will drive what you receive. And I'll talk more about intentions later and why they're important. But I just want you to be thinking, my intention again is always that you get whatever you came for, whatever's in your best and highest good, whatever's going to make you feel good, empowered, and back in love with yourself and your life, because that's always the goal. Okay, so if you don't know me, I know there's a lot of new people to the group. I'm Nichole Eaton. My history is actually mental health counseling. I am a licensed master's level mental health counselor, and I started to connect with my intuition during counseling. During everyday counseling, I started to know things about people that they didn't tell me, and it was starting to get kind of weird that I would know things about them without them telling me. So my intuition kicked up to a whole nother level, and I opened Clarity with Christy Forsyth in Elmira, New York. So part of that journey was connecting with my intuition and connecting with other people with their intuition. So it wasn't as much about honoring just thoughts anymore and about the past. It was about focusing on the future and honoring energy as a secondary component of how thoughts work. So we're going to go through today. We are going to dive deep into how your thoughts work, how your energy works, as much as we can in an hour. Now, I will tell you that I got so freaking excited making this course. So damn excited, because I'm like, okay, well, we need this, and they need to know about this, and they need to understand how energy works, and they need to understand how to control energy, and they need to understand intuition and intention and affirmations, but they also need to get over their past and into their future, get over their past and into the present moment. So y'all, I made a course. I made a course called the Comeback Course that will be a 6-week live series. And when I'm telling you it's going to change your damn life, I promise you it's going to change your damn life. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that, but I'm going to cover as much as I can in this hour. But yeah, just stick around, because I will explain what I'm getting into
after this. So let's get started. I just want to read a couple intentions. My intention is to learn additional ways to claim, grow, and retain my power. Oh, I love that. My intention is that I'm fully open to receiving all that is for my best benefit and highest good. Ooh, these are good. You guys are good with intentions already. So take a minute if you haven't, write down your intention. Grab a pen and paper if you haven't, for anybody who's just joined in. Like I said, if you missed it in the beginning, this power hour was so divinely inspired that I could not get away from it. It was like, if you look at the back of my manifestation journal, it literally just says power hour with a bunch of notes that most of them I can't read, because the universe was pushing me to help you reclaim your power. That is something that I've been working on throughout the year, to reclaim my emotional power, my mental power, power in my relationships, power in my business. And I've, some of you have seen kind of me shut down and heal and come back. But I'm here to help you learn all the things that I just kind of awakened within myself. So I'm excited for that. So I want you to take a moment, grab a pen and paper, and I want you to write down, I am, with your first name, fucking last name. I am Nichole fucking Ian. I am Christy fucking Sager. I am April. Your name is way too long for me to attempt at this point in time, but I want you to just write, I am. I am is the direct connection to the universe. I am is the direct connection to God, the universe, Allah, whatever it is you believe in, to a higher power. So your connection is your name. And actually, it's funny because when I'm doing readings for people, I really only need their first name to tell you just about everything about them, because I am is within the name. So I am first name. If you don't like swearing, that's cool. We don't have to do it. Effing last name. This is about you re-identifying. This is about you recommitting to yourself. This is about you owning who you are and remembering who you are, because you're an extension of the universe. When the soul leaves the body after it's passed, the only thing different, there's no weight difference, it's just a soul difference. So if you can understand that no matter what you believe, there is energy that enters and energy that goes, then we know the energy that enters is the energy we have to work with while we're here. And we can do what we wish with it. And right now, with the craziest year of my life, I don't know if it's been the craziest year. I wouldn't say it's been the worst year of my life, but I would say it's been the craziest. I've just watched things happen and play out in ways that I've just never experienced personally, and I'm sure we can all relate. As we do this, it's important to remember, you are your own energy, and our job is to protect our energy. Our job is to maintain the fullness of our energy, and our job is to feel alive within ourselves. And as much as we can watch the external chaos, we can't become it. I actually wrote down, you guys, sometimes I write notes just to make myself laugh, but I actually wrote down, the external world is being dramatic. 2020 is like the Regina George of years. If anybody loves Mean Girls as much as I do. So we don't need to become the chaos that's around us. It's very easy to get involved into, we're going to talk about time investment and energy and where our energy is actually going. But I want you to be thinking about, where is my energy? Where is my heart? Now, you're going to make a commitment to yourself right now, because we're in this. We're doing it. We're committing to ourselves. This is your time. Part of reclaiming your power is reclaiming your focus, because when we can control our focus, then we control our power. Okay, so like I said, I am first name, effing last name. You were made for an amazing life. You were made to have all the love, all the fun, all the joy in your life. You were made to live fully in energy that suits you. And any reason that you're not is an external pull, which we're going to pull right back to ourselves. We are going to redesign our energy, redesign our lives through our energy systems and through our mindset. So I want you to just say out loud or write it down. This is a fun little affirmation that Amanda Francis says. So I'm totally stealing this from her, but I'm quoting. I am the catch. I am the prize. I am the whole damn vibe. So I just want you to write that down. Say it out loud. I am the catch. I am the prize. I am the whole damn vibe. I am the catch. I am the prize. I am the whole damn vibe. I was made for an amazing life. I was made to have all the things that I want. Any story that you're telling yourself outside of that isn't true or doesn't have to be true. But the thing is when we begin to tell ourselves stories, we make it true by beginning to create neural pathways that look for what you're telling it. So when we're creating neural pathways that look for what you're telling it, when you say, I don't have enough, this sucks, I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I can't do anymore. When you're using this language, and we're going to go deep dive into language and the importance of words and language and power words in the comeback course. But if you're thinking of language, what language are you using daily to describe yourself, your mood, or your life? Because what that's doing, again, is if I say I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired over and over again, what am I going to see? What am I going to feel? What things are my brain going to tell my body? It has to do what you tell it. It's just a machine. It has to do what you tell it. So if you say, I'm tired, I'm not good enough, I don't want to be seen, I don't want to be heard, I don't think my opinion is valuable, whatever that is, I want you to be thinking about what is it that I'm telling myself daily, and what am I seeing because of it? Because it is a command. And I want you to think about it as like if your brain is a genie, right? So if your brain is a little genie and it is saying to your rest of your body, it's saying, okay, respond. She says she's tired. We have to find reasons to be tired. We have to find examples, ways that her body can be tired. So now, if I grant the wish is that I'm tired. Now, how different is it to say that I'm the whole damn vibe? That feels, I don't know about you, but I love that affirmation. That makes me feel so good to say that. I love to say I was made for an amazing life. Because the thing is that, again, when we're telling ourselves a story over and over again, we're creating a neural pathway, and the neural pathway demands that we look for that evidence in the external environment or in our internal memories. That is how the brain works. The brain works in a way where it has to respond to what we're telling it. So I want you to think very carefully, and I want you to write down maybe some of like the top 3 thoughts that you have daily, okay? What are things that you say to yourself daily, or you notice daily, or you feel daily? Maybe it's an issue outside of yourself. Maybe it's I feel so tired, or I'm so overwhelmed, or I can't believe this shit's happening again. So I just want you to write down 3 things that you're saying daily that may not be helping you. Or maybe you are. Maybe you're really good at affirmations and you're like, no, I got this. I'm good. But I think even for somebody like me, I do this work daily. Y'all know I'm like really serious about my self-care. There are days where I'm like, this is bullshit. I don't even know why I'm awake today. Today is not a good day. And it is totally fine to not have a good day, but we're not making it a bad week. So this is your power. This is your reclaiming power. Now, what are 3 things you would like to believe about yourself? What are 3 affirmations? I love affirmations. I live for affirmations. I will be putting together some meditations that are affirmation based for the course, just a heads up for anybody who's interested in that. But I love the affirmation I've been using a lot lately is I'm divinely supported by the universe. The universe supports everything I do. I'm highly irresistible to my greatest good. I'm highly irresistible to everything that's meant for me. And that's a really good one, because if we can say I'm highly irresistible to the things that are meant for me, then what we do is we hand our power over to the universe. Because if we can acknowledge that it's only what's meant for me, then we know that anything that's falling apart in our lives, anything that's not working out, anything that isn't feeling great for us is part of the things that aren't meant for us. Intentions are important because when you start to set intentions, you start to be able to accept that the things that aren't working out, or the things that are falling apart, or the things in your external environment are actually shaping to what you're believing. Does that make sense? So your job is to design your life through what you're thinking, because again, it's my wish is my command. What is it that you want to see? Do you want to see how tired you are? I use I'm energized all the time, especially when I feel like I woke up like tired. I'm energized. My brain doesn't know the difference between a lie and a reality. So when we start to tell it things that we want it to believe, It's like, okay, well, let me find examples of that. Let me see where I can, like fire some things to make you feel more energized. When we start to tell ourselves stories, whatever they are, whether they're good or bad, we're going to believe them. So when we're finding stories that aren't empowering, what are we doing? Whatever they are, our brain's got to find reason for them. So our job is to start recreating stories. So write down 3 affirmations. Maybe it's I'm a whole damn vibe. That feels good to say, right? That's fun. Maybe it's I'm the prize. I'm worthy of love and belonging. I'm important in my life. I play a huge role. People love to listen to me. Like Marianne Williamson talks about divine truth, and what she talks about that is really important, because you have to understand, and maybe some of you don't know this about me, but I grew up an atheist. I grew up somebody who just didn't believe in God. I had no experience with religion. I had no experience with the universe. It literally took the universe springing itself in my face and me not being able to deny that for me to say, oh, okay, there's got to be something else. There's got to be something out there. And then I did a lot of digging within myself to find what I believed that was. And so I would say, if you're in somewhere in the middle of like, I don't know what I believe in, I will say to you, where's that moment in your life where you're like, that's unexplainable? Where's that moment in your life where you get quiet and you suddenly just know something's different? I'm not telling you what to believe in. I would never do that, but I would tell you that I didn't believe in anything, and now you would never be able to convince me that the universe didn't exist. Why? Because I have so much evidence in my life of it that I can't personally, I could never deny that. I could never, I have no explanation for half the things that I know about people. I have no explanation for half the things that have happened to me. So what I'll say is the divine truth, the things that we tell ourselves that are actually true, feel different. That's why when I say I'm a whole damn vibe, it feels good. That's why when I say I'm divinely supported by the universe, it feels good. All we're trying to do with reclaiming our personal power is decide what story we want. Because you're telling yourself a story either way. So why not make it a good one? Why not make it a fun one? Why not make it a, one where all your relationships feel supportive? Why not make it one where you feel good enough for the things that you're doing? Why go the opposite way? So again, divine truth isn't necessarily even about believing in a certain thing. It's about a recognition within yourself is that you're a soul. And you can believe whatever you want about that. I'm never here to force anybody into anything. But you can believe that you have a power within you, and this is my belief, you have a power within you that creates worlds. So why the hell can't you have the life that you want? Why can't things look better? And part of that is choosing to not become your external circumstances. Choosing to not get involved in things you can't control. Choosing to say, nope, I'm coming back here. This is important to me. I'm important to me. And actually, I would just love if y'all would just put your hand over your heart and just like, I don't know, even like to close your eyes. And I just want you to hold compassion, just the feeling of compassion for everything you've been through this year. Because whether it's been an okay year or not, there are growing pains, there are differences, there are adaptations, things we've had to adjust to. So I just want you to put your hand over your heart. Now just close your eyes. When the external world is pulling all of our energy, we have to go back within. That is our power. Our power is in our mind, yes. Our power is in our knowing of the truth and that the universe has our back, even if we don't see it. But our power is also in coming back to the internal energy, because at the end of the day, you are not going to control much of anything. You're not going to control anything by arguing on the internet. Sorry. You're not going to control anything by trying to get your viewpoint across to somebody who doesn't want to listen. But you don't need to become that chaos. You don't need to become that stress. You can always come back to your heart, to your light, and to the things that mean the most to you. When your focus is in the present moment, whether that's just taking a deep breath in and letting it go, you can literally follow the air down through your lungs and back out. People get all hyped up about meditation, but it's actually quite easy. And it's actually just basically the idea of bringing your energy into the present moment. So any moment that you're actually, I always say people who are busy and don't like, really could never imagine themselves meditating. I'm like, I bet you meditate when you're cleaning, or I bet you meditate when you cook, or I bet you meditate when you're on a bike ride or a run. Because the minute you're in a present moment, you're in control of your emotional state. You have more access to joy because chances are all the chaos that's going around you in this moment, like, are you okay? Probably, right? I have things going on in my life, but in this moment, I'm in my little studio that I just redecorated. Isn't this a cool picture? But I'm in this studio that I just redecorated. I'm in a space that makes me feel good. I'm wearing this shirt. It's like $12 at Target, but I love this shirt. But I am in a place that feels good to me because I've chosen that. And don't underestimate how you dress and how you look as an important factor in your power. I'm not saying go like balls to the wall with how you're dressing, but I'll tell you that when quarantine first hit, I was like sweats, pants, no makeup, maybe a shower for me. And after a while, I was like, wow, I just really feel bad about myself. And the thing is that our external environment, whether it's our space or our appearance, does matter when it comes to feeling like ourselves or feeling good about ourselves. So don't underestimate like throwing on a little lipstick. Don't underestimate finding a shirt that you absolutely adore. Don't underestimate getting that, artwork that you had to have, whatever that is. Like, don't underestimate the things that make you feel good because they're going to make you feel powerful. Okay, so Logan asked, you said we can't control the things around us. Is manifestation control or something else? Manifestation isn't control because we don't hold tight to the outcome. So if the outcome doesn't happen, it's cool. We know it's not time. We know that the universe has other things in store. Control is trying to think obsessively about something in order to try to fix it or to try to tell and impress our opinions on other people and hope that they're doing what we want them to do, right? So control is hoping in dedicating yourself to a set outcome. So when we hope and dedicate ourselves to a set outcome, then we're kind of in this place where if it doesn't happen, then we're not okay. Manifestation is a couple things. I'm going to dive so deep into this in the course, so I'm going to try to like cover as much as I can tonight, but I do want to get to energy. It's really important with manifestation that you set the intention. What do you want? What do you want to feel? I'm the whole damn vibe. Okay, cool. Like, let's say that. Let's write that down. If anybody has ever worked with me, you know that I am huge on writing out your manifestations. How do you want your day to go? How do you want that conversation to go? How do you want that thing with your boss to go that you have this afternoon? You can set the intention. You can envision it. You can feel it in your cells before it happens. You can see it happening before it happens. You can put your energy into it. Now, the things that you can't do is figure out how that would happen. Sorry. Our brain will try, but what your job is to say is, nope, I'm going to set that aside. I trust that the universe knows a better way than I do. I also know that the universe sees the blue map, the blueprint of how things have to happen or how things are going to happen, and I can only see the possibility in front of me. So manifestation is also acknowledging that there's so many possibilities and that something has got to give. I don't have to figure out what the next step is. Control is figuring out what the next step is and forcing yourself or other people to follow along with it. So your job with manifestation is to set the intention for yourself. Don't figure out the how. Don't figure out the why. But take inspired action. Like I said, I felt called to do this course on repeat. I ignored it for 2 months. Sorry, I did. I wasn't ready. I had some things that I was working on outside of that. I felt overwhelmed. I needed to find a space that felt calm within me. I needed to find my power before I could show you yours. So sometimes it is inspired action that you have to do something, but you'll know because you won't be able to not do it. That's how you know it's intuitive. That's how you know it's inspired action, is that you set that intention and now you're like, I gotta call Susie. Follow through with the intuitive call, whatever that is. But manifestation is about getting really clear on what you want. How do you want to see your world? What kind of relationships do you want to have? How do you want to feel in those relationships? And if nothing else, It is so important. If you don't manifest anything else, people are always like, yeah, I'm going to manifest $1 million. Yeah, I'm going to manifest my soulmate. F that. I'm gonna try not to swear as much, guys. It's really like something I'm working on. But F that. What about you? What feeling are you actually trying to get to when you're trying to manifest $1 million? What feeling are you trying to get to when you're trying to manifest your soulmate? Manifest that feeling within yourself. I will tell you that half my manifestation is me. I'm calm. I'm centered. I'm fulfilled in my life. I'm confident. I feel supported by the universe. I feel magnetic. I feel inspired. I feel motivated. All of those things. Or I'll say something along the lines of, I choose now to receive the good. I choose now to receive the fun. I choose now to receive the invites in possibility into my life for things that I didn't even know were there. Whatever those things are, choosing and manifesting is so fun if you can let go of it. So I want to get a little bit more into manifestation, but first I want to talk about, what do I want to talk about first? Okay, we're gonna do it. This is my tough love speech. I hope you guys are ready for it. I want you guys to take responsibility for where you're at in your life. Things may have happened this year that were so out of your control, but I want you to take responsibility now for wherever you're at now. Jen Sincero always says, and I wrote this in Rock Your Soul, she says, it's not your fault if you're fucked up. It's your fault if you stay fucked up. This reclaiming your power is about saying, okay, I'm doing things in my life that aren't working. I'm feeling the same way every day. That's, guess what, not working. I am not thrilled with the way things are going. What do I need to do differently? Where do I need to change? Where is my focus and investment and energy? Because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of places your focus could be right now. It could be in fear. There's a lot of fear going around. I've been talking about with every session I've had, I've been talking to my empaths about, are you picking up the collective vibe? Are you picking up the collective fear? Or are you protecting yourself? Because reclaiming your power, all this work that we're talking about today, reclaiming yourself is going to change everything. Because then you can look at that and say, okay, that's happening, but I'm not becoming it. So your job is to look at your life and say, where could I feel better? What do I want it to look like? Manifestation and taking responsibility are sort of one and the same, because it's really just saying, okay, I could do better. Not thrilled with the way I handled that. Not thrilled with the way I handled that. I forgive myself. That's not a good expression of me. What do I want to do differently? Well, I want to handle that with grace. I want to handle that with calm. I want to handle that with understanding. So the biggest part of this is focus, manifesting, but also taking responsibility for where you're fucking up. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean it and I don't want you to play the victim. This is your damn life. And I've been thinking so much about how fragile life is and how quickly things change. And you need to make the most of this. You have to. So what are you going to do different in your life? Where's your focus been? Has your focus been on the news? Shut it off. Has your focus been in your phone? That was something that I kind of reclaimed back in June, because I was getting all caught up in the news and all caught up in some things that were happening and all caught up in defending myself when I didn't need to. Are you doing that? So your job is to say, where do I want my energy? I put my phone in the drawer for half the day and I've been so much more creative since. I've limited my time on social media and I've been so much more myself since. What do you need to disconnect from in your life that is taking your power away? Write it down. I'm done with whatever that is. I'm done with spending Brandon's cousin was at a birthday party. We were at a birthday party and he was saying he spent like 8 hours a day on his like screen time on his phone. I'm like, that's a full-time job, dude. Like, monitor. Where are you putting your energy? Because I'll tell you what, the things that you're putting your energy into need to come back to you. And if they're not coming back to you, then they're sucking it out of you. So if you're reading and you love what you're reading, it's coming back to you. If you're creating or making music or writing or talking with, hanging out with a friend, and it's coming back to you, that is the right thing. And you can pay attention to this by how you feel before and after. Do you feel better? Do you feel relieved? Are these people who you're surrounding with the right people? I don't know. Like I said, this is my tough love segment. This is the area where I remind you that there are better things for you to invest your energy and your time in. So what are they? What would you rather be doing with your life? What would you rather be doing with your time and energy? What would be fun for you? Because it's probably not the news and it's probably not social media, because I know about, like, for me personally, that stuff just makes me feel drained. I actually feel drained if I go to a restaurant and there's news on. Like, it makes me anxious. Do I need to be anxious in a restaurant when everything around me is fine? Is it ruining my time? Think about, write it down. I'm not letting that control my life anymore. I'm not letting that impact my mood. I'm choosing differently for myself. And this might be another, like, kind of a tag team place with this. A lot of times, actually, Christy just wrote, we don't realize how much we spend on social media. I'm on it now. Well, this is like a good on it now. So we'll like let this one slide that you're on it now. But I just want you to be thinking about, and if you have not watched The Social Dilemma, oh my word, please go watch The Social Dilemma. That was definitely like a little bit of a like, oh wow, that's really serious. So yeah, watch that. But definitely, this also goes with the people in your life who are draining. We are going to deep dive into a couple of things in the comeback course that I was talking about earlier. It's a 6-week course that I'm going to be putting out in a couple of weeks. But the comeback course, we're going to talk a lot about boundary setting and a lot about shrinking your past. So things that have just kind of clung onto you that you're still carrying, we're going to talk about how to resize it, put it away, and focus on your future. But boundaries, setting boundaries with yourself, whether that's the news, whether it's social media, but also, like, are you taking a lot of texts and phone calls of people who are complaining every day? Are you taking a lot of texts and phone calls from people who are draining you or bringing drama into your life when you were good on your own? It might be wise to think about, how do I feel before and after this person? Because as an empath, when people think of you, they kind of pull your energy. So when we're setting boundaries and saying, okay, I'm putting my phone away, or I don't have space for that right now, I love you, I'm thinking about you, I'll respond when I can. That's a great response for somebody who is constantly in a bad space or constantly messaging you about things that are just really heavy. If you don't have space for it, it's okay. So I want you to be thinking about, how do I put this off to the side? How do I make myself important? Because you're fucking important. You matter. Your energy matters. What you bring to the world is different when you're drained versus when you're full. And if you don't fill up, no one's going to do that for you. This is not first grade where they hire on a bunch of aides to help pull you out of class and make sure you're doing the things. You have to do the things. You have to. So your job is to do the things, and your job is to watch who you're letting in your life. And your job is to find the things that make you feel like you. And part of that, I do believe, personally, is detaching from the things that don't. Whatever they are, whoever they are, whatever they were. So I just want you to be thinking so hard about your investment, your boundaries. Kind no's. I think it's like, I don't know if this is true across all empaths, but I know for a really long time, I was a people pleaser. And so I just didn't want anybody to be mad at me, like, ever. So I would just always say yes. And I was tired and I was burnt out, and I would always say yes. So it took me a long time to be like, oh, like, I would love to. I'm unfortunately really busy this weekend, but like, let's set up a different time to get together when I'm feeling more full. And that's okay. And you can do that. I've been working a lot with this for myself, prioritizing my energy, not putting in extra energy towards people who constantly drain me. Yes, it is not that we can't love people who are in a bad space. It's just making sure you're full before you deal with them so you don't take on their stuff. Because as empaths, we do take on their stuff, right? So speaking of, I do want to dive into energy. So, your energy is in your personal space. And if I say to you, where in your energy field does it feel heavy? Where does it, and I would love for you to comment this. So let me know, like, where does your energy feel heavy? Where do you carry your energy? I always carry mine. This area in me, that is where mine hangs out. And if we have energy here, it messes with my throat, it messes with my heart. So if I'm not diligent about keeping my energy clear, then I feel heavy. When I feel heavy, now it's funny because I've had a lot of clients over the past few months, and one of the big messages that I've gotten universally is that the collective energy, first of all, is like draining us. So when we're waking up in the morning, we're actually kind of waking up at a deficit of energy because we're marinating in the collective energy, which is fear. So when we're marinating in the collective energy of fear, it lowers our vibration before we even wake up. So if you're not doing energy protection before you go to bed, or an Epsom salt before you go to bed, you are basically marinating in a lower vibration than what you're used to. Shoulders and neck is like where it's at. We all just need a big group massage, like just work out those kinks. Who's the massage therapist in here? Christy Carpenter, go see her. Joy Storch too. So where does the energy sit on your body? Where do you feel that energy the most? The other message that I've been getting a lot for clients is that when we're in an energetic low vibration, it traps our thoughts. So if you've been in a space where you feel like things just either feel confusing, like you just feel like you can't nail down anything, or you're in a really darker space or a very anxious space and like you can't even put your finger on it, and you're trying to work out of it, but like you can't even focus to do that, this is where you can go into a space where you clear your energy first. So if you're like, I have tried everything, like my head is just spinning, I can't feel better, like something's really stuck here, clear your energy first. Energy comes first because it traps. And again, what I mean by traps is it locks in repetitive thinking. So you can do a couple things, clear your energy. And again, my whole first class for the 6-week comeback course is on energy clearing. I have created a weekly meditation to help with each different thing. So energy clearing, cord cutting, manifesting, energy balancing, future envisioning, all sorts of cool stuff. But energy needs to be cleared first. So you can take an Epsom salt bath, soak it at night. Somebody told me that they put I think it was Holly Hughes on my last podcast, but she scrubs it on her in the shower. I've never done that, but that also, I mean, any kind of salt is clearing, jumping in the ocean. I don't know if it's too cold for that now, but any kind of Epsom salt. Going for a walk, any movement, any exercise clears stuck energy. So if you're holding a lot, you're going to want to stretch. You're going to want to shake it out. I used to have this class called Rock Your Soul when I was writing Rock Your Soul, and I would make everybody dance to shake it off at the beginning of every class, because when you literally shake out the energy, or you literally dust off the energy, you can feel it move. Energy is not stagnant. It doesn't have to be. So when we move, when we dust it off, when we shake, shimmy, whatever you do to move, whatever kind of workout you do, yoga, whatever, it's going to clear it. So Epsom salt bath, clearing, sage Palo Santo. I love White Angelica by Young Living. I think Ashley sells that. But I love White Angelica. It is my favorite thing if I'm feeling overwhelmed, or if I'm going into a crowd. Not that that's a thing anymore, but I'll put that on me. Nature definitely is a clearing, and grounding. A lot of times we become the external when we're not grounded within our own power and with our own self. So I'm encouraging you to find things that ground you. I love to envision, put your feet flat on the floor. Let's do this together really quick. Flat on the floor. If you're laying down, sit your ass up. So I want you to just breathe up, take a deep breath, but I want you to envision your feet are straws and you're pulling the energy from the ground up through. So take a moment and just breathe up through your legs, through your feet, as though they were straws, just pulling that grounded energy. And we're just going to kind of envision your body sinking into itself. So take a deep breath up through the bottoms of your feet. One more deep breath. Our soul body aligns with our physical body. And when it's grounded, it's in perfect alignment. When it's not grounded, it's like your soul body goes up and then you can't remember anything. You feel really flighty. You can't remember what you were going to say. And when we ground back down, it merges with the brain so you can think straight. So if you feel really anxious, if you feel really floaty, if you feel unfocused, if you feel like you've got some sort of 20/20 ADHD, deep breaths. Grounding is the key for, Jennifer just said, grounding is the key for me in exhaling the toxins, which we're going to do next year. So on top of it, you can tell you can tell my people, right? They know me, but grounding is a key for a lot of people. So energy clearing, Epsom salt bath, Palo Santo, which is a little wooden stick. I don't think I have one in here, but crystals are a good one. Taking a deep breath up through your feet, grounding your energy. But what we're gonna do is we're going to call your energy back. So a lot of times when we're really hyped up, when we've had a busy time, a busy year, our energy actually gets scattered and stuck in different places, but we can call it back, which will make us feel more energized, more alive, and more powerful. So we're gonna do this. I would love for you guys to stick around because I'm so freaking ecstatic about the course that I created. And we're gonna, like I said, go really deep into all these different topics. So I'm excited and I wanna share that with you. And I'll walk you through, again, it's a 6-week live course. If you can't make that date and time, A, I'm flexible, but B, there will be an instant replay where you can ask questions. But the 6 weeks go through everything. It's really based for momentum because positivity needs momentum. And when you meet with people with the intention of having a positive interaction, with going deep, we're going to raise the vibration and basically get you into the new year with some really good energy. So I'm freaking ecstatic for it. And like I said, this is literally the most divinely inspired thing I've done. I would like to keep the group really, really small and intimate. So I'm limiting the amount of people just so that everyone can feel free to share and it's not just this big overwhelming group. So I'll share a little bit more about that after this. But like I said, I want you guys to stick around just because I'm like so in love with this course, and it's been a minute since I've really felt called to do a live course. So again, positive momentum, accountability, just reclaiming your power in every freaking facet, plus just live support and help and just a good vibe. So get comfortable. We're going to call your power back. And you can actually rewatch this on replay because it will stand probably at the top of the group for as long as I feel like it. So I want you to get comfortable. I want you to take a deep breath. We're going to bring your energy back to yourself. You can close your eyes and just breathe in slow. We're just going to slow everything down. I just want you to follow the air in through your nose, down through your lungs. And we're going to release whatever the hell kind of day you've had, whatever kind of weekend you had, whatever stress has come up into your life. As we exhale, we're just going to watch it leave our body. And as thoughts enter, that's fine. Our brain's a machine. We just say, hey, this is what I'm doing right now. I'm breathing. And we bring it back. Again, you regaining your power is about you shifting your focus. So bring it back. Take a deep breath in. And back out. And as you breathe out, as we exhale all these stressors, all these things that just are no longer needed, any patterns of behavior, any patterns of thought that just aren't serving us anymore, I want you to give it a color. Anything that's not yours, that's not your power, that's not your personal energy needs to go. So I want you to give it a color. A lot of people choose a darker gray, black, whatever color. Just as you exhale, just watch it leave. And you can even take and pay attention to the areas where you hold that stress or energy in your neck or shoulders or chest or belly or hips. And you can just pull that energy right up and out. Watch it leave. And notice how much lighter you feel. And just feel your body settling and releasing, letting it all go. And we're also going to give your inhale a color. And I want you to think of whatever your personal color would be, whatever color makes you feel vibrant and happy and alive. And I want you to just envision as you breathe in, filling your body with that color. Exhaling anything that's not you, breathing in anything that's you. And just feeling how good that love, that genuine, pure love, that genuine, pure power. And just notice how good that feels, how light that feels. To just remember who you are, that you are an extension of the universe. You are interconnected with everything on this planet, including the power that creates worlds. And just take a moment to breathe in whatever your color would be, whatever feels good to you, and release the rest. And as your body fills up with your natural energy, with your natural soul color energy, I want you to notice how good it feels, how light it feels. You can almost feel your cells buzzing as they elevate to meet your full potential. You can feel yourself rising up, stepping into the greatness you know you were meant for. And you'll just notice that it's easier than it's ever been, easier than ever before for you to become whoever you decide to be. Take one last deep breath in, pulling that positive, soulful energy, and just whatever's left, I just want you to exhale. Just let it all go. Big, deep exhale. And I want you to now just envision that color. Anything from the past, the present, or the future, any person, any place, anything that could have had your attention or had your energy investment. And I want you to call that energy, your energy, back to you. Wherever it is, it might be in your phone, it could be in your computer, it could be in a past relationship. And I just want you to feel all the energy just merging back into you, filling up your heart, filling up your soul, almost like bursting out of you, just pulling everything you've ever left behind back to you. So take a moment and just envision that merging. And just breathe deep, pulling it back in, feeling your cells elevate you to the next level of your life, feeling your personal power in the center of your chest reviving, reactivating, reminding you who the hell you are, what you came for, what you choose for your life and your investment. You were made for an amazing life. You are the catch. You are the prize. You are the whole damn vibe. It's time to reclaim yourself. It's time to choose where your energy goes. It's time to take your damn power back. The universe unconditionally supports you. The universe always has your back. You are divinely irresistible to your greatest good. And I want you to continue to feel that energy just pulsate through you. And when you're ready, you can take a deep breath and expand that energy out and around you. I want you to feel your power. I want you to feel what it feels like when you're fully yourself, when you have all the energy that you expended everywhere else but you. And I want you to take 3 deep breaths, fueling that, pumping that through you, making it big. And we're just going to set the intention that through the rest of this week, through the rest of this month, through the rest of this year, that you stand in your power, that you speak your truth, that you connect with the right people in the right places in the right time and open your heart and your eyes to possibility. We're setting the intention that you feel confident and centered and grounded in exactly who you are, and you are not afraid to speak your truth. We're setting the intention to always feel energetically clear and balanced and supported by the universe. You are the catch. You are the prize. You are the whole damn vibe. Take one last deep breath in. And when you're ready, you can come back and wiggle your fingers and toes. Open your eyes when you're ready. Let me know you're still alive in the comment section. Now imagine pairing that energy work with the mindset work. When you're light, you're open, and you're free, and you're fully yourself, it's a game changer for how you manifest and how you think about the world. I have an energy center one that I've been working on. Again, that will be in this course that I'm working on, and I'm like, it is my favorite thing to do ever. So, yeah. Oh, I'm so glad, April. Those affirmations, like I said, some of them are from Amanda Francis. If you missed my disclaimer, that I am the catch, I am the prize, I am the whole damn vibe. That is gold. That is one of my new favorite. And the first time I heard it, I was like, I would never say that. And now I'm like, I'm the whole damn vibe. Yeah, alive in the whole damn vibe. Yeah. It's so funny. It's so funny. Find the words, the things that make you feel powerful. Find the things that make you feel like you this is your power. This is what it feels like. And I'm curious, like, are you standing up straight? Are you sitting up straighter because our posture, like I said, our physical matters, our posture, the way we're looking, our eyes, our smile, all the things contribute to the way we feel. So even little things like posture, when you're sitting up straight, you're more empowered. Like they call it a power pose to put your hands on your hips. Why? Because it sends a message to your brain. So definitely think about all of those things. I love you guys. Thank you for being so supportive of me. I just feel so lucky all the time to do this work. This is like my favorite thing in the world, and I love talking about this. Like I said, I'm so fucking excited for this course. Thank you everybody who stopped by for the Power Hour. I'm so freaking excited for this course. I'm going to drop the link below so that you can look into it and see if it works for you. Like I said, it's weekly. It's Monday nights, 7:30 Eastern time. But if that doesn't work for you, A, I'm flexible on the time, and B, there will be an instant replay. So if you have to miss one. Also, Thanksgiving week, I decided not to do because that does not work for me. But I really wanted it, like part of the lazy part of me was like, maybe I'll just put it out there and then people can watch it whenever. But the reality is that A, when you invest in something for yourself, you commit to it more. 90% of the people who do the free stuff don't follow through with the things that I teach them because there's no mental investment. So the investment is important, and it's also like important to have accountability in the showing up, having the momentum of seeing people weekly and having that connection that builds within that group. Like I said, I am keeping it intimate because it's so important for me for people to feel safe and comfortable sharing their personal things that are going on in our life so we can address the really deep stuff. So I want to walk you through like the week by week of like what I have planned just to see if this makes sense for you guys. Week 1 is empath, empath, empath. We are like going deep into understanding, protecting, and clearing energy, as well as a deeper understanding of just like your views on the universe and how you can connect to the universe. Week 2, taking on responsibility for your life, meaning monitoring and recognizing your excuses, resetting your goals and really actually getting clear on what they are, creating a self-care plan, creating a routine, and really learning how to actively and intentionally zoom back in on yourself. Week 3, we're going to focus on the power of language, utilizing specific language to help you trigger different parts of your brain to make it more active. Learning how to reframe and understand the importance of your perception and how to shift it. But we're also going to create new perceptions for a happier, healthier life. Week 4, we'll focus on external relationships. Y'all are dying for that, I'm sure. Creating and setting boundaries, finding your voice to speak your truth in your relationships, limiting your investment in some of them, and manifesting and maintaining healthy dynamics. Week 5, this week we'll focus on shrinking in the past, working on forgiveness, compassion, and releasing power and control. As well as releasing control of the future. So that one's going to be a week. You know, we're going to have some clearing, some healing that week. So again, this is for people who really want to do the work. This is for people who are like sick of 2020 and how it's been going, sick of themselves, sick of the way things are happening. And week 6, we'll focus on designing yourself, designing how you want to view yourself, designing your perception, envisioning who you want to be, and the importance of meditation when you manifest, and the importance of frequency when you manifest. So there will also be a bonus week and a bonus party where we'll do in-depth manifestation. So I will actually walk you through my entire manifestation process in a video that you can rewatch over and over again. Jen asked if there will be homework or activities outside of the meeting. Yes, I will give you like a little workbook every week. And a meditation for the week. So the meditation will correspond with the week and with the theme of the week. So like I said, we've got external relationships. We'll be doing a lot of cord cutting. We've got manifestation. We'll be doing a lot of envisioning for the future. We've got energy clearing. We'll do a whole week of energy clearing. So these will be specifically for the week. So I would recommend, and I'll give you my recommendations as I release them, but at least before bed. They'll be quick. They're not gonna, I have kids, I have a life, and I know you guys do too. So you can really go as deep into this as you want. I will give you the tools to go deep. I will give you the tools to create the energy and the momentum to create a new life for yourself. But it will be up to you how much you do. And like I said, I believe that investing in yourself is part of the work. So yeah, there will be, by the end of the course, there will be a full workbook. You'll have to go back to answer questions again if you want to look at and ask yourself those questions. I also love bullet journaling and accountability trackers. So I'm going to encourage strongly that you use those and give those to you so that you can keep track of things and make sure that you're making progress and doing the check-ins. Again, this is about bringing the power and energy back to yourself. It's about holding yourself accountable, taking responsibility for your life, and being an active part of it. So yeah, it will have all of the things. I'm going to post a link below so you guys can check them out. There's 2 options. There's the ready to party option, because you know I can't like create a course without making it fun. And the ready to party option is just the course. That includes the worksheets, that includes everything I just talked about. The second option is called the whole damn thing. And that includes 2 sessions with me. So they're 30 minutes. They're my traditional sessions that I do. So that way you can kind of like really personalize. And my goal again with the intimate group is to make it personal, like to personalize this so that you feel like we're actually addressing the things that you're struggling with, the resistance that you have, the issues that are coming up for you. There's homework, there's support, there's daily interaction, there's Facebook groups. So it will be a private Facebook group so that you will be able to pop in throughout the week, do a check-in, see how your week's going. Again, the big thing is that this will be major accountability and major momentum.